Welcome back. Let's talk Oilers versus Jets playoff series preview and prediction in round one. So Edmonton took 7 of 9 versus the Winnipeg during the regular season. The Oilers finished second in the North Division, 11th in the league. They had 72 points. Winnipeg finished third in the North, 14th in the league, and had 63 points. Let's quickly go over the injuries for both clubs, starting with Edmonton. McLeod was day-to-day, as was Yamamoto, but they look like they're both ready. Russell, there some question marks there, and then of course there's Cassian, who's on the IR, but he's probable, and of course Clefbaum is just done for the season. For Winnipeg, starting with Kopp, he's day to day, but he's listed as possible. Pullman, ditto. Ehlers, it doesn't seem likely at this point. Beaulieu, of course, and Little are done for the season. And then there's Dubois, who looked like he might have got injured in the last game. And there's a chance he might not start in Game 1, maybe Game 2. Let's compare some offense. Beginning with goals for, Edmonton is 7th in the league. The Jets are 12th. On the power play, the Oilers are first. And they're actually 2% better than the second best team there. The Jets are 7th on the PP. When it comes to shots per game, the Oilers are 15th, Jets are 17th. Face-off win percentages, which are handy on special teams, Oilers are 14th, Jets are 13th. Not much difference there. Hits per game, I thought this would be the other way around, but Edmonton is 5th in the league, and the Jets are 12th. Now, for 20 plus goal scorers, of course, Oilers have 2 with McDavid and Draisaitl. Jets have 3 with Connors, Ehlers, and Scheifele. 40-plus point players now. The Oilers have got 3. They've got McDavid, Draisaitl, and Barrie, who's really making a case for a raise next season. He's had a rejuvenation there in Edmonton. And the Jets have 4. With Connor, Ehlers, Scheifele, and Wheeler, and Kopp had a great year too. He came really close with 39 points. He's been sort of playing mostly on that third line, but platooning a lot when there's injuries on that second. Now, when it comes to offense from defense, Nurse actually has the second most goals from defensemen in the NHL with 16. Chychrun beats him out with 18 on Arizona. Morrissey is the best the Jets have to offer with 4, and it's a 33-10 difference in goals from defensemen. Wow, yeah. And then for forwards, it's a bit of a different story anyways. The Jets actually outscore the Oilers by 10, and then point-wise, I want to say it's about a 14-point difference as well. Let's look at the forward lineups for each of these clubs. So according to Daily Faceoffs, here are what the lineups should look like. They split up McDavid and Draisaitl, and that's how they've mostly played against the Jets during the regular season. But on the first line, you've got McDavid between Cahoon and Poolparty, and you've got Draisaitl in between Nugent-Hopkins and Yamamoto. On the third, you've got McLeod in between Neal and Cassian. And on the fourth, you've got Kyra in between Archambault and Chiasson. Although I've seen a little bit of mix-up with the third and fourth, like a shutdown line on the third with Kyra in between Chiasson and Cassian. We'll see how that all works out. And if you will, I'm sure at some point we'll see McDavid and Draisaitl. But if things are going really well for the Oilers, the way I just read them, I don't think they'll change much, with the exception of maybe some wingers moving around, as usual, right? McDavid, by the way, has scored the most points versus the Jets and the Canucks this season, and unfortunately for Winnipeg, he's done it in one less game. In 9 games versus the Jets, he's got 22 points. The least amount of points he's had versus a team this season in the North, it's been the Toronto Maple Leafs with 10 in 9 games. For the Jets forward group, especially if Ehlers and Dubois don't make it into the lineup, this is what it could look like. Scheifele on the first line in between Connor and Wheeler. On the second, it's Stastny in between Kopp and Vesalainen. On the third line, you're looking at Lowry in between Appleton and Perreault. And on the fourth, Nate Thompson between Toninato and Trevor Lewis. Now, if Ehlers is in the lineup, obviously he's on the second line left wing. And if Dubois is also in the lineup. It could be, Dubois in between Stastny and Ehlers, or Stastny in between Dubois and Ehlers. Or they could just put Dubois on the third line. I've also seen that during the regular season. So on the defensive side of things, beginning with the Oilers, they're 12th in goals against in the league. The Jets are 10th, a little bit better there. On the penalty kill, the Oilers are 9th, surprisingly, in the top 10. The Jets are 13th. And the stat nobody cares about, block shots, Edmonton is 6th, and Winnipeg is 10th. Now, in the plus-minus category, the leaders on defense for Edmonton are Nurse, who's a plus 27. Jones and Cuckoo are a minus 7. Cuckoo should be in that bottom pairing, I think. For the Jets defense, Stanley is a plus 13. Beaulieu is a minus 5. He won't be in the lineup. From the forward group, Draisaitl is the best on the entire club, really, with a plus 29. Turris is a minus 11. I don't think he'll get in the lineup for at least the first game. For Winnipeg, Ehlers is a plus 15 for the forward group. Wheelers is the worst on the team with a minus 17. Let's look at the defensive pairings. So for Edmonton, on the first pair, you got Nurse and Barrie. Second, you've got Kulikov and Larson. I think those are solidified. On the bottom pairing, there could be an argument here. There's Cuckoo on the left, Bear on the right. Some say maybe Caleb Jones will be in that spot on the left instead of Cuckoo. And then there's Bouchard, who's a righty. We'll see if he makes an appearance at all. For Winnipeg's defense, on the first pair, you got Morrissey and DeMello. Then you have Forbert and Pionk on the second pair. And then Logan Stanley and Tucker Poolman. And there's a discussion, of course, on the bottom pairing, whether it might be Poolman or Jordy Ben, who they picked up at the trade deadline. Goaltending, finally, some drama. Mike Smith, in 32 games this season, had a .923 save percentage. Wow, where did that come from when Kevin Holland signed this guy before the regular season started? We all thought he was nuts. I certainly did. Gave him $1.5 million. Last season he was a .902, right? And then when they put him in that first game, I want to say in the playoffs, he got shelled with 4 goals and he got pulled. In that playoff series, Edmonton lost, which they were supposed to have taken against Chicago, by the way. He had a .783 save percentage that game. Now, oddly enough, the season before that, for Calgary in 5 games, he was a .917. He was like the best player on the ice. And against Winnipeg this season, at least in the last 4 games, I want to say he's a .936. It's not looking good for the Jets. But there is also Koskinen. Question mark, in 26 regular season games, he's at .899. Yeah, and they got to pay him $4.5 million next year, too. Last season, though, he was a .917, and in his only playoff games, which are 4 of them, he's an .889. Now, for the Jets, let's talk about Hellbuck. In 45 games, he was a .916 this season. Probably could have been a lot better if he got a little help. Now, in 4 playoff games last season, he was a .904. It's almost like he's got some declining stats here in the playoffs, but you could also blame that on, the disappearance of, the defense core, too. Last season in the playoffs, he was a 9, or the season before that, in 18-19, he was a .913. In 2017-18, he was a .922. See what I'm saying here? Now, his backup, Brossois, he shouldn't be making any appearances whatsoever, but in 14 games, he was a .918 this season. He's literally hot and cold from one year to the next. Keys to the series, starting with the Edmonton Oilers, don't change a thing. Always be attacking and pray that Mike Smith doesn't implode or forget how to play hockey, because if he gets injured or his play slips, they're in real big trouble. Next, don't watch any playoff tape from last season, and forget you even saw that up there in the left-hand corner. The X factors, besides the goaltending, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and really any depth scoring. So, while everyone is looking over in the Draisaitl or McDavid side of the ice, maybe Nuge can score a goal here or there. For the Winnipeg Jets, there's no stopping them, but you gotta find a way to slow down Draisaitl and McJesus. Hint? Go watch some old Oilers versus Leaf footage. The forwards have to play some defense. back check a little. And I've been hearing that Maurice might sick Scheifele on McDavid. That hasn't really worked so much in the past. Maybe think of doing that with the third line instead and let Scheifele get a free hand here and there against the third or fourth line so he can score some goals. It doesn't mean he shouldn't back check, by the way. The X factors here, Ehlers, besides being healthy, he's got to show up in the playoffs because in 25 games, he's only got 2 goals and 9 points in the extra season anyways. Of course, he was terrific this season until he got hurt. Dubois has had an awful season, but if he can just play like 80% of what he was like last year in the playoffs, Jets really have a chance at winning this thing. Hellbuck. He's got to be Hellbuck, really, with a little help from his friends, please. And the coach, Maurice. Don't be stubborn. If something isn't working in game, change it. Don't wait for tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. It's the playoffs. Do or die, right? Right? So, who do I pick to win this series? I actually picked Winnipeg in my NHL bracket, but so many things need to change for that to happen, right? I mean, the health of the players, the turnaround of certain individual seasons. There's not enough offense from the defense. The goalie needs more help. They haven't found a way to shut down Draisaitl and McDavid. I'm going to take Edmonton in maximum 6 games. Don't make me regret that, Oilers, like last season. But for those of you who have skipped to the end of the video, who do I pick to win this series? I'm going to go with the Jets in 7 games. I think they're just going to beat the crap out of the Oilers with a half-healthy lineup. There you have it. I would love to hear from you, especially Edmonton and Winnipeg Jets fans, in the comment section below who you think's got this and why. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Share this video, please. It would help me out. And be kind to each other out there in this crazy world we're living in. And I'll see you soon.